Good evening, Karina Carvalho with ABC News. What started as Australia's parliamentary dual citizenship crisis is now causing friction with our closest neighbour and ally. The federal government has accused the New Zealand Labor Party of colluding with Bill Shorten to bring Barnaby Joyce unstuck. It's even warning it might not be able to work with a future Labor government in Wellington. Here's National Affairs correspondent Greg Jennett.
Conspiring with the Labor Party of New Zealand to undermine the government of Australia.
The Anzacs are at war again.
They will stop at nothing to undermine the government of the Commonwealth of Australia.
This time with themselves.
To try and undermine a duly elected government of the Australian people.
He's quite happy now to collude with other political parties.
He is unfit to hold office in this parliament.
Julie Bishop's dispensed with delicate diplomacy and is delving into the dark arts of political thuggery.
He needs to reveal his involvement in what is treacherous behaviour.
Her wordy weapons are double-edged, aimed at destroying an Australian Labor leader and a possible New Zealand Prime Minister.
I would find it very difficult to build trust with members of a political party that had been used by the Australian Labor Party to seek to undermine the Australian government.
Jacinda Ardern slapped down her junior MP Chris Hipkins, who acted on a tip from an ALP staffer and put questions into the New Zealand Parliament on dual Australian Kiwi citizenship.
It wasn't just because I'd had a discussion with someone in Australian politics, it was because I was interested in the topic.
These are not questions we should have been asking.
Details are in dispute, but the asking of the question exposed New Zealand Labor to an allegation it had added, even if unwittingly, to Barnaby Joyce's predicament, and it earned its leader a meeting with Australia's High Commissioner.
I wanted to make clear as well that I'm happy to have a conversation directly with Ms Julie Bishop on this issue.
It also threw trans-Tasman relations into the midst of a looming election.
These are serious issues to interfere in another country's politics, and it appears there's been significant misjudgments.
2 parliaments and 5 political parties have been drawn into what remains a uniquely Australian constitutional quagmire. And none of today's debate changes the fact the Deputy Prime Minister's at risk of being scrubbed out for an oversight that required no collusion with anyone.
If the Foreign Minister won't be able to work with the New Zealanders, how will the Foreign Minister work with the Deputy Prime Minister?
He's almost an ex-Kiwi, citizenship's being renounced.
We've received verbal communication from New Zealand before question time that has now been accepted, and we're looking forward to the written advice turning up pronto.
Still, a year too late for the Constitution. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Canberra.
Political editor Chris Uhlmann joins us from Parliament House. Chris, what do you make of the tactics of drawing New Zealand into this domestic fight today?
Bewildering, Karina, and if you are going to try and stir up some outrage about a foreign power working with an Australian political party, then you'd want that country to either look A, particularly foreign, or B, particularly powerful, and with all due respect to New Zealand, it doesn't look like either of those things. It's a little like trying to scare the kiddies with a stuffed kiwi. And we all know the worst thing that can happen to you when you're trying to make a serious argument is if you become a subject of ridicule, and that was certainly the case with the government in the House of Representatives today, and if it persists with this line, it's likely to become a problem for it with the wider community.
Some very interesting imagery there, Chris. So when will this citizenship saga be resolved?
And Karina, that's a question of how long is a piece of string. Next week, the High Court, sitting in Brisbane, in fact, as the Court of Disputed Returns, will now hear all 5 of these cases. Then, of course, it'll take some time before we hear some argument, and then sometime after that, and we don't know when, it will deliver a verdict. And if it delivers a verdict which says that Barnaby Joyce can no longer sit in the House of Representatives, then we have to have a by-election in the seat of New England. So this could run for quite some time yet, and I think the fascinating thing about it is usually with a coalition government, they demand black-letter law judges in the High Court, and here they're looking for a little bit of judicial adventurism.
Chris Uhlmann, we'll leave it there.